up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today we're starting the last division, the main division. To me, right now, the best division in boxing, the heavyweights. I'm going to do my 2021 year-end top 10s on the heavyweight division, the division that I fell in love with as a kid. You know, with Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis, old George Foreman, Michael Moore, all the way into the nowadays, as a heavyweight division has recaptured the imagination of the boxing world, and to me is the best division in boxing again. Today we kick off with the dropouts, the guys that dropped out of last year's top 10, and you know, are going to see if they can climb back in. There's only two from last year's top 10 that dropped out. The first of which is Michael Hunter, the 33-year-old former cruiserweight world title contender. Michael Hunter entered the year, you know, still riding. Actually, his stock went up a little bit. He was tied for 10th coming into the year. His stock had went up because Alexander Povetkin had knocked out and upset Dillian White to become the interim champion. And a year prior, less than a year prior, in December of 2019, Michael Hunter fought Povetkin to a draw. So his stock went up heading into 2021, but Michael Hunter was, you know, not an avoided fighter. He just wasn't a great matchup, and not a lot of the top 10 guys stayed super busy to where Michael Hunter got an opportunity this year. He came back and got a win, and then later in the year, he actually fought some nobody to a draw. So Michael Hunter just hasn't struck while the iron is hot, and hasn't done much. So I dropped him out of my top 10. And, you know, we'll see if he can capture it back. He's still, as of right now, and again, I don't think the WBA's upgraded their rankings. He was still number 2 in the WBA, but that could change with that draw that he had. So we'll see what happens for Michael Hunter going forward. See if he can climb back in the mix in 2022. The other man to drop out of the top 10 is the same Alexander Povetkin, the former secondary world champion. You know, Alexander Povetkin entered the year coming off of one of the biggest wins of the year, one of the biggest upsets of the year in 2020, when he knocked out Dillian White. Knocked him out cold after getting put down in the fourth round. He came back and laid Dillian White out in the 5th round, knocked him out cold, and became the interim champion, the WBC interim champion. Well, a rematch was in order between the two. It was going to happen. And there was a lot of people, myself included, that felt Dillian White's defense was suspect and that all Povetkin had to do was catch him again, and that was going to be all she wrote one more time. But this time, Povetkin, you know, he came in the same. It was pretty much the same, what we saw. It was Dillian White dominating the action for the first 3 rounds, but Povetkin having his moments. Here and there, he would land a nice shot. But he was getting outboxed and outworked, and he was losing. But, you know, but people still knew that all it took was one punch from Povetkin. But Dillian White was not going to allow that one punch to land. As in the 4th round, he had hurt Povetkin through 3. He was beating him up. But in the 4th round, he landed a money punch and hurt Povetkin badly and put him down. And that pretty much was all she wrote right there. He stopped him in the 4th round, and Povetkin would lose the interim title. And after that, to no surprise, at the age of 42, Alexander Povetkin has retired from the sport of boxing. I mean, this guy fought longer than I think people expected him to. And he, you know, that win right there, to me, a lot of the guys from the previous era of boxing that had struggled to get big fights and could not fight each other, a lot of those guys, Povetkin, the Klitschko's and stuff like that, they needed a signature moment or a signature win. And, you know, Vladimir Klitschko got his in 2017 against Anthony Joshua. You know, he really, in defeat, he did more in defeat, and, you know, with that, it kind of put a stamp on his career, that showdown with Anthony Joshua. You know, he's going to be remembered widely for that, and that was almost like the thing he needed right there in order to, you know, prove that his career really meant something. I believe for Alexander Povetkin, very similar with the Dillian Whyte victory. Because if you look at it, you know, Alexander Povetkin he is one of the best fighters, but one of the best heavyweights of this millennium so far. If you really look at him on paper, all the major victories that he had, a lot of them by knockout, at the right moments, he had a lot of good heavyweight wins, dating all the way back to 2007 when he knocked out Chris Bird, the former champ, and then defeated Eddie Chambers, handing him his first loss, and then went on to defeat Ruslan Shagayev, who was a legitimate, world champion and a very good fighter. He fought Klitschko. He fought Anthony Joshua tough. He knocked out Carlos Takam. This, and other heavyweights, all leading down to Dillian Whyte. He had some good, solid heavyweight victories and was a very good fighter. And again, outside of the two Klitschko brothers, he was probably the best heavyweight of all those years when the Klitschko brothers had the heavyweight division on lockdown. He was the best guy outside of them. So, at 41 years old, 42, to upset Dillian Whyte, a legitimate top 5 heavyweight, to upset him, even losing the belt back to him, it was a swan song and a signature win. And I'm glad he's retiring. And I really enjoyed. He was one of my favorite heavyweights to watch the last 15 years, to be honest, was Alexander Povetkin. So, a great career. I want to show him some love. He came in number 5, and being knocked out and retiring drops him out of my top 10, but nothing to hang his head about. A great career, and that's what I got on. Those are my dropouts from the 2021 year-end top 10s heading into 2022. I hope you enjoyed this. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.